This episode is brought to you by Dr. Lourdes Capulong.
Comedy, long story short.
I want the long story long.
You want the long story long?
Yeah.
Okay. I used to be a high school choir teacher. And when the pandemic happened, everything was shut down. So we had to do everything on Zoom. And it just...
Hold on. I couldn't get the high school choir teacher impression
I know.
out of my head. Okay, go.
I know.
So when the pandemic came...
Yeah, when the pandemic came, I was a high school choir teacher, so we had to do everything on Zoom because everything was shut down. And it just burnt me out because instead of like conducting or actually being in the same room with people and singing, which is like the most fun part about choir, I had to start making like these things called virtual choir videos, which means I had like maybe 150 students. They all record themselves and send in a clip. I edit all of that and then sync everything. And then they record themselves video. And then they send me that, and then I sync everything, and I added like cool editing features. So I was pretty much teaching 8 hours a day, and then afterwards for like 10 hours, I was just editing, and it just burnt me out.
As opposed to when everything was face to face. After 8 hours,
face to face.
You were done.
Well, yeah, but it also when it was in person, it didn't even feel like work.
Yeah,
because I loved doing it.
Yes.
I loved being with those kids and making music with them, and it was just fun. But for 2 years, I couldn't do the thing that made me want to become a choir teacher, so it just burnt me out. And during that time, I was doing a lot of acting classes and improv classes, and I really enjoyed it. And then I decided to try out a stand-up class, and I really enjoyed that. I took a online stand-up class at Second City. And
what was the first?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Okay, anyway.
But after that, I just kept doing it because I also do some acting. But in acting, most of it is you're waiting or getting rejected. But stand-up, you can just do it anytime you want. Like right now, you could just, in like 5 minutes, I can go to a open mic place and just do stand-up. So I loved how accessible and fast it was. So I just kept on doing it. And then I found some success, and that made me want to just do it a little bit more and more, because it seems like I'm finding most success in that area. And so I'm just sticking in that lane. Yeah.
Let's start with improv. Why did you even think of taking improv classes? What was the challenge? What compelled you?
Oh, well, during that time, I also have like a little like a recording studio at home. So I thought I'd try voice acting because I thought it might be a good side hustle. And then listening to like voice acting podcasts, they say you should take improv classes because it will help with voices.
What do you learn?
In improv?
Yeah.
You learn to listen. You learn to... I think be in the moment, think on the spot. And for me, I learned that you can't be funny all the time. Sometimes it's not going to go well. And sometimes it's going to go amazing. But it's always going to be hit or miss. It's never going to be like, if I do this and this, I'll always be funny. You know, there's so many factors that play into like your partner, your suggestion. If you misheard your partner, if your partner misheard you,
or the audience, or do they incorporate the audience during improv classes?
Usually, no.
Like they don't tell you that you might be doing this. You might be doing improv in front of an audience. You got to listen to them too. None of those.
No, not too much. Yeah, I mean the audience will give a suggestion for a scene or something at the beginning, but not a lot of like. You don't really talk to the audience. At least not from the classes I've taken. Yeah.
Now, stand-up comedy. What made you take that class aside from improv?
I was getting bored of improv classes, but I still wanted to take a class because I was just at home doing nothing. So I just wanted to take classes so I'm not bored. So I'm like, oh, why don't I try taking a stand-up class? And
what was your impression when you took a stand-up class?
honestly, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Yeah, a lot of people are scared when they do stand-up for the first time. But funny thing is, I was kind of doing stand-up since I was like 12 years old.
You just didn't know it, or you knew
I
it?
just didn't know it.
Ah.
Because I was always in charge of trying to recruit people or I was always put into positions where I had to go into a room full of strangers and
break the ice,
pitch them something.
Uh-huh.
Like, for example, in college, I was in charge of recruiting people for my choir program.
Right.
So I would have to go to like these random college classrooms and try to convince them to join choir. But no one cares about choir. So I wrote down what I was going to say, but try to make it as funny as possible. Which is pretty much stand-up. You're making people that you never met before laugh. So when I took a stand-up class, I'm like, oh, I've done this a lot. I just don't have to talk about choir anymore.